Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. My name is Pompberry, and today we're going to be doing something very different. Last week I did a look that was very Art Nouveau inspired, and Art Nouveau was a big artistic movement of the 1920s, so today I thought I would do a makeup look inspired by the 1930s. And the main reason for that is because I got this new palette in the mail. It is the Nomad Orient Express palette, and since the book Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie was published in 1934, I figured I would do a 1930s makeup look using the Orient Express palette. Now today I'm going to try to be as historically accurate as I can, and where I can't I'm going to kind of guide you through it, but I really am going for a vintage makeup look. That's why I don't have any eyebrows, because I'm going to be penciling them in, and my brows were way too thick for the 30s, so I just had to get rid of them. If you don't know how to do a brow cover-up and you want to learn how, I have a video just explaining how to do that, which you can watch by clicking right up here. To begin, I have done my skin. I've done some liquid foundation. I've got this little wig on, which isn't exactly period accurate, but it is short. It's got these little pin curls, so I figured it would work out. I'm gonna put a hat on at the end, so I think it'll be fine. I also took out my piercings for this. That's a big deal. I don't remember the last time I took off my barbell piercing that everyone asked me about. That was a custom piercing, by the way. Everyone that's asked me about it, it was custom made. So yeah, sorry I can't be much help there, but it was custom made by a piercer for me. It was just a regular barbell that he bent to have like two entry points this way. But anyway, ask your piercer about it. Alright, so before I begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Giving a like really helps out the channel, so I really appreciate your support, and let's get to it. Okay, so my skin is very shiny. I do not have any oil underneath my foundation. I did use the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Hydrating Primer, but my skin is super smooth because I did an at-home microdermabrasion treatment thing. And my skin is just like bizarrely dolphin-like. I don't even know. But I did a layer of liquid foundation just to kind of even everything out. The foundation that was most used at the time is pancake foundation. So it's basically a powder foundation that you can activate with water and apply it with a sponge, and it gives a really matte and powdery finish. And because of that, I'm going to be mattifying my face. I know that pancake foundations exist to this day. They're usually called other things though. I know that NYX has one, or used to have one anyway, that you can activate with water but also use as a powder. They tend to look really heavy on the skin though, like you can notice that someone's wearing makeup when they have it on. So it's not as popular nowadays, but it still does exist. And the reason I went in with a liquid foundation first is because I did a brow cover up and I just wanted to make sure that my skin was really even and blended in with the cover up. But now I'm gonna mattify it using the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Powder Foundation. And this one, you don't use it wet, but it is still a powder foundation, and I'm just going to apply it with a brush. It comes with a sponge if you want to apply it really heavily. I just want to mattify everything down. When you don't apply it with a brush, it's like really intense. It really mattifies. If you have really oily skin, I highly recommend using this foundation as a powder. I just want to make sure real quick that I don't have any creases on my eyes or under. I also didn't go crazy with concealer because I want my skin still looking somewhat natural. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I'm going to be referencing this image right here, which I could be wrong, but I think it's from a book from the 1930s, which showcased what color makeup to wear for each type. And by type, I mean hair and eye color. So I'm going to be following the ginger one today. And I got this reference from a website called glamourdays.com. They are a wonderful reference for vintage makeup if you're into that sort of thing. They have articles about fashion and makeup, but it's a really good resource if you want period accurate makeup references. So I do highly recommend you check them out. All right, next up is going to be eyebrows, and I'm kind of super scared because they are pencil thin. And the thing with 30s eyebrows is that they are very similar to 20s eyebrows. They're still very arched, they're very plucked and drawn in, and they go past where the natural brow goes. So they're very curved and very long. The main difference I noticed with the illustrations and photos from the 30s and 20s is that the 20s eyebrows were drawn pretty low, pretty close to the eye. There wasn't much lid space. This area was kept very kind of like dark and closed off. And with the 30s, you see the eyes opening up a bit more. The eyes aren't as dark, the eyeshadows are very light colored, and the brows are higher up, so there's more lid space. So because of that, I'm going to be drawing my brows, kind of giving myself quite a bit of lid space. So I'm going to start sketching out the eyebrow with the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in Auburn. I'm not sure this is going to work though, because this is a very kind of dry formula and I'm afraid of it tugging on the brow cover up, but I'm going to try it anyway. So I'm going to start kind of where my brow starts here. Oh, nope, that's pulling up the brow cover. That's not good. We'll fix that in a little bit. And then I'm going to follow that very curved, very arched till way after our natural brow ends. So that you can see is my tiny little brow. And pray to all the gods and all the heavens that these two sides match. Then I'm going in with the NYX Slide On Glide On pencil in the color Urban Cafe. This is slightly darker. It's kind of a reddish tone brown. And I'm just going to start, oh boy, thickening that up a little bit. And it's funny to me that I'm doing a 30s makeup because I still haven't done a 20s one. And the 20s is my absolute favorite era of everything, fashion, makeup, everything. Mostly the late 20s, I guess early 30s as well, but I'm not a huge fan of like Art Deco. I much prefer Art Nouveau. I really, really, really love the 20s. I love 20s jazz. And I was gonna do a 20s look because we're in 2020, but I still haven't done it. I mean, this year has sucked, so that's what I'm gonna blame it on. This year has just sucked. But I will at one point do a 1920s inspired, like, period accurate look, because one of my biggest pet peeves is 1920s looks that aren't period accurate. Like, people that do like a smoky eye and call it 1920s, and I'm like, no! But anyway, that is for another time, another video, another time. And the pencil seems to be skipping a little bit because the brow cover up is a little bit bumpy, so I'm probably gonna go in with a brush to fill in all the little bumps and stuff. But this is a very, very creamy and smooth pencil, which makes drawing on the brow cover up a lot easier and it doesn't tug at anything. But I am going to grab a brush. They're not quite even just yet. I'm going to try with a little liner brush actually, and I'm just going to grab the product onto the brush. And this brush is from BH Cosmetics. And I'm going to just go back in and try to fill in the little gaps. And those gaps are just there just because of the texture differences in the brow cover-up. If you had like shaved brows, for example, this wouldn't happen. Brow cover-ups are a struggle, y'all. And if you struggle to do them, trust me, that's 1000% normal, so do I. They are literally the hardest thing to do in makeup. I kid you not. So this brow looks a little bit better than this brow, but we're gonna pretend that's not the case. We're gonna pretend that they're both perfect, they're both amazing, they're both symmetrical, and move on with our lives. And I'm gonna move on to blush. And for blush, I'm going to use a Cream Rouge by Besame Cosmetics, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about this color before when I did my Evil Queen look for Pompoween, but I'll recap real quick. This was part of Besame's Snow White collection. And if you don't know Besame, they're a company that creates vintage inspired makeup, and they often do vintage replicas. So for example, Noir Red, which is this lipstick here, you can see it's like a proper vintage lipstick. This is based on a shade from the 1920s that they replicated. And this Snow White blush is the actual blush color they used to color Snow White's cheeks. The colorists for the movie were all women, and apparently they couldn't get the blush right using the paints that they had to color in the cartoon cells. And so one of the colorists reached into her purse and grabbed her own Cream Rouge, which was a Revlon rouge, I believe, and used that to dab it on to Snow White's cheeks, and that's what they used to color her cheeks in the movie. So this is actually Snow White's blush. So I'm going to be using this today. And one thing I want to talk about the blush is placement and shape. So in the 20s, it was preferred to have a rounder face shape. So you applied blush in a much rounder way to make the face seem round. In the 30s, however, the preferred face shape was a heart shape. So rounder and wider at the top and center, and then pointy at the chin. And to give that impression, to give that illusion, the blush was applied in a triangular shape. And another trick is if you had a narrow face and you wanted to widen it a little bit more and the blush trick wasn't enough, you could apply some blush to your earlobes. So I'm going to be doing that today because why not? So I'm just going to grab a little bit of this blush just on my finger and I'm going to pat that starting at the apples of my cheeks. And the blush was also applied really close to the eye. So I'm going to start kind of at the top of the apple. And I'm kind of going to go pretty intense with the blush. And I'm just patting. Because I've already powdered, I don't want to sweep because I don't want to risk lifting anything that's underneath. So I'm just patting and I'm coming close to my eye, but I want to create that triangular shape. And so I'm going to narrow the blush application down here and just kind of concentrate it here at the top close to the eye. And there are some photos from the 30s where the blush is intense and I am all for it. Seriously, you know me, I love some blush, so we're going for it. And again, just maintaining that upside down triangle. And you want to use the blush to kind of widen the face. So I'm bringing it all the way to the back here and very close to the eye, and then just tapering it down. So the blush covers a pretty big area of the face, I'm not gonna lie, but you can see the color is very natural. It just gives like a cute little flush to the cheeks. And this blush application, it might seem crazy, but it works. I find it quite flattering. That could just be me. And then I'm going to take a little bit, I know I'm wearing earrings, but I'm gonna take a little bit onto my earlobe because that's such a cute idea. Oh, I love that. And I'm just wearing like this little pearl earring, but I probably should have put it on after I did this, but I'll just work around it. It's fine. I actually love that. Am I gonna start blushing my ears? Maybe. I don't know. And I don't know about you, but to me this blush just looks like I spent the day out in the field having a picnic and I'm flushed from the sun and the heat, and that's kind of the vibe I get from this sort of blush. Now for the eyes, the eyeshadows were very kind of pastel colors. It was different from the 20s where it was really about intensifying the eyes. The 30s are about light washes of color, usually green, pink, purple, or very light blue. And I think this palette might be too intense for that, but I still wanna open it up. What? It's like a velvet pillow. It's like a little cushion. Oh, this is so gorgeous. This looks so expensive and so chic. Oh, now I'm afraid that my hands are gonna get this all dirty. Oh, it says Paris, Venice, Istanbul. Oh, this is so amazing! Okay, the back looks like this, nothing much. Oh, I am already in love with this. And the motifs on it are Art Nouveau, not Art Deco, which makes me love it even more. Oh, and this is what it looks like. The colors are definitely a little intense. The names are really cute. And oh my god, there's like little cocktails, like martini glasses, a little mustache, a little perfume bottle, all imprinted into the eyeshadows. I feel like this is a really different color palette than what we're used to seeing. You don't really see greens mixed with red and blue. You kind of have your three primary colors as well, which is really fun. Oh my god, and I just noticed, okay, so the names is like Bon Voyage, Paris, Bar 3674, and there's a bunch of other stuff, and there's a line connecting certain shades, and those are the shades that are named after stops, I'm imagining, from the Orient Express, because we go London, Paris, Simplon Pass, Venice, Arlberg Pass, and Istanbul. So that's the path that the Orient Express takes. That is so cute. That is such an awesome idea. Yeah, this is dope. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use these colors for this look. Well, we'll try. We'll see. We'll try to make it work. I really want to follow this illustration, and she seems to have green on her lids and then light purple around it. And unfortunately, this palette does not have that sort of tone. It does have a green, however, which I'm going to try to use as a very light wash. Let's see how it goes. I don't know how pigmented these are. So the green I'm going to use is Étoile du Nord, and I'm just going to take that very lightly on a brush and apply that to my lid. Okay, I feel like I can get the desired effect with this eyeshadow. I took very little on my brush, and I'm going to keep doing that so that I just get a very light wash from this color. Oh, it's coming together already. Love it. One thing that the women in the 30s did, including the actresses, is on top of their eyeshadow, they put a little bit of petroleum jelly to give it a little bit of shine. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that today. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet, but I thought it was an interesting little tidbit to note. So I'm just going to keep that to my mobile lid. I'm not going past my crease with this. And then I think I'm also going to take it under my eye, mostly on the outer corner, just a little bit to define the lash line. Okay, once that's done, I think I'm going to take a little bit of Côte d'Azur, and I'm going to use that as a little bit of a transition shade where I intend on applying my lilac. So I'm just going to apply that to the outer corner towards the brow, and then on the inner area as well. And this is basically very similar to my skin tone, but it just gives a little hint of something for when I apply the lilac on top. You might not be able to see it on camera, but I can see a little hint. It's like slightly pinker than my skin tone. I don't know if you can see the difference, but it gives a little bit of a pink base, which is what I want since I'm going to be putting lilac in these areas. So I will now say goodbye to this palette. I definitely want to use this again for a different look. This palette is so interesting to me. The packaging is so pretty. And like I definitely want to try like this color right here. It looks super cool. Obviously not for this look, but expect to be seeing it again soon here on the channel. And I think for the lilac, I'm going to be grabbing the Valfray Electric Garden palette. I haven't used this in so long. I used it when it came out, and then I never really reached for it again. But it's got a really pretty lilac that I think is going to be perfect for this. And I'm just going to grab that on my fluffy brush again, and I'm going to apply that to kind of my outer crease area. And I just want this to be a very light wash of color that kind of blends from the blush to the eyeshadow. This is just going to be like a nice little detail. And this is more according to the illustration that I'm following. This isn't necessarily what they would have done with their makeup, but I just really liked it. The use of these two very different colors in a same eye look. And the washes are so light that it doesn't become like distracting or anything. It just kind of helps the colors to kind of blend together like that. That's it. I'm not going to do it more intense than that. That's all I wanted. Just a very light wash. And the 20s and 30s were all about the lashes, the mascara. I unfortunately don't have any cake mascara with me. Besame does make a replica cake mascara if you're interested in getting that. But the lashes in the 30s, they really wanted length and separation. They did not want thick, clumpy lashes. And today I'm going to go in with the Laura Mercier Caviar Volume Lash. I know it says it's a volume mascara, but I find that it gives me way more length than it does volume. I feel like it's a really kind of natural looking mascara, and cake mascaras, they don't have the same holding power and volumizing power that our mascaras have nowadays. They tend to make your lashes look quite natural, just enhanced, and I feel like this mascara does that. Even though it says it's a volumizing mascara, I find that it's quite lengthening. So I'm going to do probably 2 or even 3 layers of this because I really want to accentuate the lashes above all else. And you can see my lashes still look pretty natural with this mascara. They just look enhanced, and that's really what I'm going to go for with the mascara. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom lashes too. I don't ever curl my lashes. I was going to, and then I totally forgot. I actually have a heated curler that I've been meaning to show you guys, and I 1000% forgot. I'm just so used to not curling my lashes, but if you do curl your lashes, then by all means, I would recommend curling before applying the mascara for this. And I don't have the cake mascara from Besame, but I do have the tube mascara, and that one's actually in my professional kit. I use that for like no makeup looks because it does have a very, very natural finish, and you can use both the cake mascara and the tube mascara as eyeliner. So whenever I need a liquid eyeliner, I use that because it's very sanitary. I can just squeeze it out onto a palette. But both of them give a very, very natural look to the lashes. If you're used to very like intense volumizing mascaras, cake and cream mascaras, they are not that. You have to think that we've come a very long way in terms of technology for makeup, and the science and technology behind product development has come a very long way. And so the products from back then, they just don't behave the same way that our products do now. Okay, so that was 2 coats of mascara, and I'm pretty happy with the results. My lashes look super long, super defined, and I'm starting to look a little shiny. So I do want to powder my face, but I want to go in with a product that I've actually never even opened before. This is the Besame Brightening Vanilla Rose Powder. It's translucent, but it does have a slightly pink tone to it. And back in the day, color correcting was actually a very common thing that women did. And you could find powders that were lilac, green, and pink to combat certain things. Like the green would combat redness, the lilac would combat a sallow skin tone, and the pink was to add life to a dull face. So I'm just going to open this up real quick. Wait. How does this work? I ended up taking off the entire thing. That works too. That's fine. I'm just gonna grab some on my brush, and you can see it's a very like baby pink. And the reason I've never used this product is because I have a neutral to yellow tending skin tone. And so using something like this really scares me because this is typically for more cool toned skin tones. Ooh. That mattifies quite well. But yeah, I wanted to use this since I'm going to be using it on top of the blush to kind of mattify everything a little bit. And I'll do a little on my T-zone. Okay, so you can't notice the pink too much. It did kind of knock the blush down a little bit, so I'm probably going to go in and touch that up to bring that life back to the blush. I don't want to bring down the intensity. I just wanted to bring down the shine a little bit. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back in with a blush now. But it does a really good job at mattifying. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to intensify the blush again, and then we can move on to lips and we'll be done. And I'm so excited for the lips, although not really, because the 30s and 40s lip shape is not my favorite. I do quite love the 20s lip shape that had the very arched cupid's bow and very kind of small lip, but the 30s on the other hand was all about widening the lips, and it was almost kind of like the opposite to the 20s lip. They did the 20s thing for a while, but then they were like, now we're over it. And so you're gonna see, but it's a very kind of wide cupid's bow shape, and it's a very, very distinct shape. That's one thing about lip shapes and brow shapes. Those are the 2 things that I think most define a decade when it comes to makeup, is the brow and the lip shape. If you don't get those 2 right, you're not going to nail the look of a certain era. And that's what I meant when I said like my biggest pet peeve is like when people do like period makeup, but then not really, is like people will do like a 20s makeup, but then they'll keep their 2020 brow, and it just so doesn't go with the look, and it just completely changes it, you know? But that's just me. That's just my pet peeve. I just enjoy period accuracy. Also, I just realized that maybe the color got knocked down because I used this for the powder foundation. I used this brush, so it might have been that, probably. But anyway, now for the lips, I wish I had the Besame Carmine lipstick. That one's a replica from 1931 and it's a bright shade of red, but I do have their Cherry Red, which is a replica from 1935. And while I don't have the bullet, I do have something that's really interesting, and it's their lipstick matches. And this is also a vintage replica. This is a product that actually did exist. I'm not quite sure the decade though. I tried to do some research and I couldn't really find anything, but if you look up vintage makeup products, you might find vintage matchbooks that are actually lipstick touch-ups. This is something that was made for you to put in your purse so that you could touch up your lipstick when you're on the go. And so each little matchstick has lipstick on the end of it, and I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be tearing one off. And apparently one of these matchsticks has enough lipstick for a full lip. I don't know how extreme I want to do this lip shape, but let's start pretty extreme and then we can soften from there. It's a very kind of widened lip shape. I'm going to put an example here of a very extreme lip shape, and that's kind of what I'm using as reference for the beginning. But I quite like this one as well, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to start here. Oh, this is so weird using this, but I do like this color. I think it matches the look quite well. And I'm just going to widen that. I honestly kind of hate vintage lip shapes except for the 1920s. Oh, so this is going to be interesting. I'm going to fill that in a little bit just so I can see where I'm at. Okay, I do know that this side is bigger than this side, but I'm going to fix it with some concealer. For the bottom lip, it's kind of thicker in the center and then it tapers on the sides. Kind of like that. That's the general idea. I kind of hate it, but it is the lip shape of the time. And I'm surprised at how much lipstick is on this little matchstick. Oh my god, who am I? What is happening? Now that the lip shape is pretty much done, I'm just going to go in with some concealer to really clean it up. And that way I can fix the shape a little bit more. With vintage looks, because the lip shape is so specific, I always like going in and cleaning up with some concealer. You can see I elongated the outer corners of the upper lip. I'm finding that the upper lip is maybe a little too thick. It's like leaning more towards the 40s, but that's fine because you'll notice that the decades kind of blend into each other. If something was popular in the 40s, chances are it was already popular in the late 30s, you know what I mean? So the ends and beginnings of decades, they kind of mesh together a little bit. So let's just say this is a look from the late 30s. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with this lip shape now. It feels so weird, but it is what it is. And I think I'm going to do one last thing. I actually am going to bring back our friend, the Orient Express palette, and I'm going to use the color White Glove, which is a matte white. And I'm just going to use that very, very lightly just to brighten up the inner corner, just a touch. I don't want to add shimmer here, but I do want to have that little bit of highlight because I have noticed it in some photos that there's just a little highlight, little something. And I feel like that just gives some light to the face and really helps with the overall look. And I want to do one thing very quickly. I'm going to take White Glove and I'm just going to hit the high points of the face because that's going to mattify but also brighten them a little bit. And I know this is a little bit unusual, but I'm also going to take that and I'm going to highlight right here next to my bottom lip. And it just gives a little something. I'm going to blend that out. This wasn't necessarily something that was done in the 30s. I do know that Marilyn Monroe's makeup artist would use a white pencil to highlight around her lips, but I just thought it would give like a nice little touch. And then a little bit on the Cupid's bow as well. And I'm going to go put on my hat and I'll be back to show you the finished look. And this is the finished look. I know that this is totally different from what I usually do here. I don't really do a lot of vintage stuff. I do really love vintage makeup though, and really studying the different eras because makeup trends are just so fascinating to me. What's really considered beautiful in one decade is considered really ugly in another decade. Like for example, these eyebrows. No one would be caught dead with these eyebrows in 2020. But they were, you know, the peak of beauty and luxury back in the 20s and 30s. So yeah, to me, it's just really fascinating to see how the perception of beauty changes. And I feel like that's a conversation for a whole other time. But as corny as it sounds, beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is not a fact. It's something that cannot be defined in absolutes. What's considered gorgeous to someone will be considered horrible to another person. So anyway, all that to say that I really enjoyed doing this vintage inspired look. Let me know if you guys want to see more vintage looks here on the channel. I am definitely going to do a 20s inspired look. I just haven't yet because I don't have the proper hair or wig for it. And I really want to get the 20s right. Like I really want to get it right. Like for my 18th birthday, I held a 1920s themed murder mystery birthday party and I hand beaded my own dress. Like my love for the 20s was that intense. So yeah, that will be coming eventually. I mean, we're in the 20s right now. I have a whole decade to do it. I promise I won't take that many years to do it. I'll probably leave it for next year though. Start the year off on the right foot, or I might do it this year. I don't know. We'll see. But I do have to start planning for Halloween, which a lot of people have asked about. Haven't started planning yet. This year, I'm trying to take a much more relaxed approach to it because last year, it almost broke me. So anyway, before I just start rambling on, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was really different from what I usually do. Oh, there's a little thing sticking out. Let me know if you want to see more vintage inspired looks. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my patrons who support me, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Now I just gotta do those like moody eyes. Like the Hollywood starlet eyes. They always look super sleepy. I don't know how to do those eyes. I'm always like, ah!